Far away from the busy heart of the Andovari Empire, the cold darkness of space held many secrets. Among the stars, a small scout ship named Radiant Wing moved slowly near the edge of the Empire's borders. Its crew had one job: watch the empty space for any danger or sign of life. Most days were boring. Nothing ever happened in this forgotten corner of the galaxy. Inside the command room, Lieutenant Kale leaned back in his chair, half asleep. The screens in front of him showed endless black with dots of light. He yawned and rubbed his eyes. Next to him, Ensign Mira stared at her monitor, tapping a pen against her teeth. "Nothing again?" Kale asked with a tired voice. "Nothing. But rocks and cold," Mira said. "Sometimes I think they put us out here just so we wouldn't bother anyone." Kale laughed a little. He looked around the small room, filled with quiet hums of machines and blinking lights. He had signed up for the fleet hoping for adventure, battles, or at least something exciting. But for 2 years, they had only seen old asteroids and broken satellites. Suddenly, Mira's screen flashed red. She sat up straight, eyes wide. "Wait, Kale, look," she said. Kale leaned over. A strange signal blinked on the monitor. It was weak, like an old ghost trying to whisper through the noise of space. "Is that?" Kale asked. "It's a royal code," Mira said, voice shaking a little. She tapped on her screen quickly, bringing up old files. "It's not just any code. It's a missing royal transponder. Look." Kale's heart began to race. He read the code twice to make sure he wasn't dreaming. It was real. This was the same signal that belonged to Princess Seraphine's escape pod lost 10 years ago, during the war at the edge of the Empire. "Send it to command now," Kale said. Mira's fingers flew across the controls. The message shot through the secure channel to the Imperial capital. For a moment, both of them sat in silence, looking at the small blinking dot that meant so much. They knew what this meant. If the princess was alive, everything would change. Far away, at the shining heart of the Empire, the palace on Andovar Prime floated like a crystal jewel above a silver sea. Great towers of glass and light reached toward the stars. Inside the tallest tower, Queen Althar sat alone in her private chamber. The queen of the Andovari was known across 100 worlds. Her beauty seemed untouched by time, her eyes sharp and cold as diamonds. But tonight, she did not feel like a ruler. She felt like a mother who had lost her only child years ago. Serafini, her brave and curious daughter, had run away from the court. The princess had always hated the strict life of the palace. She wanted freedom, adventure, and love that did not come with royal chains. When her ship disappeared during the border war, all hope of seeing her again turned to ashes. In Althar's heart, the chamber was quiet, except for the soft hum of the city below. Queen Althar sat by the window, staring at the distant stars. She remembered Seraphine's laughter, her stubborn smile, and her fearless eyes. A gentle knock broke her thoughts. The door opened, and Captain Orlan, the head of her personal guard, stepped inside and bowed deeply. "My queen," Orlan said. His voice held something new, urgency, and a spark of hope. "We have received a signal. It is a royal transponder. One believed lost." Queen Althar turned slowly, her eyes narrowing. She stood tall, her silver robe flowing around her like water. "Which transponder?" she asked, though her heart already knew. Orlan met her eyes. "Princess Seraphine's Majesty." For a moment, the great queen almost lost her breath. She walked to Orlan and took the data pad from his hand. The signal code glowed on the small screen. It matched exactly. "Where?" Althar asked. "Near the edge of the Terran expanse. A small scout ship found it drifting close to an uncharted system," Orlan explained. "They say the signal is weak but stable." Althar closed her eyes. She saw her daughter's face in her mind, older now, but still alive somewhere in the darkness. A piece of her heart, lost for so long, now called to her again. "Prepare the royal fleet," Althar said, her voice steady and cold again. "No public word yet. Not until she is safe in my sight." "Yes, Majesty. Bring her home," the queen said softly, almost to herself. no matter what it takes. At the far edge of the Terran expanse, on a green and blue world hidden by ancient stardust, a small house stood among tall trees. Inside, Scifi sat by a warm fire, watching her young son, Leo, build a tower of wooden blocks. The boy had his father's warm brown eyes and her own sharp mind. He was curious, clever, and brave. She smiled as he carefully placed one more block on top of the wobbly tower. "Careful, Leo," Scifi said. "One more and it might fall." "I can do it," Leo grinned. The block fell with a soft clatter, and Leo laughed. Scifi laughed too, but inside her heart felt heavy tonight. She stepped to the window and looked up at the night sky. The stars looked different here. Far from the Empire's cold light, she had been safe for years. She had found love and freedom and lost it when Leo's father, Thomas, passed away in a small lab accident. Now it was just her and Leo, living quietly, hiding from a past that always waited in the shadows. Scifi didn't know that tonight, high above the clouds, metal giants moved closer. Lights blinked among the stars. The Empire had found its lost princess and her secret child. She turned back to Leo, who hugged her leg tightly. She stroked his hair and whispered softly, "No matter what happens, I'll keep you safe." Outside, in the dark sky, the first royal ship appeared like a silent ghost, ready to bring the queen's lost daughter home at last. Scifi woke up before the sun rose. The soft morning light touched the tops of the tall trees around her small wooden house. Birds sang in the branches as the forest slowly came alive. Inside, the smell of fresh earth and old wood made the house feel warm and safe. Scifi sat at the small table near the window, holding a steaming cup of tea. Her eyes were tired. She had not slept well. All night she felt something strange in her heart, like a whisper that would not stop. She had felt it before, years ago when her old life still called to her. She looked at her son, Leo, still sleeping in the small room next to hers. He was everything good in her life now. After Thomas died, Leo was her whole world. She had promised herself she would keep him safe, hidden from the eyes of her powerful mother and the Empire's strict rules. But deep inside, Scifi knew this peaceful life could not last forever. She just did not know the end would come so soon. High above the blue sky, hidden behind white clouds, the royal fleet floated like silent hunters. Dozens of silver ships circled the small planet. Inside the largest ship, the Imperial Light, Captain Orlan stood in front of a large window, looking down at the green world below. Beside him, Commander Vera checked her data screen again and again. "Are you sure it's her?" Orlan asked. "Yes, Captain," Vera said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed her excitement. The royal code came from a small transmitter hidden in the forest near a village. "We match the DNA. It is Princess Scifi." Orlan nodded. "And the child?" Vera hesitated. "We don't have full data yet. The boy is human, no doubt. About that, his father's records are missing. But we know the boy is hers." Orlan sighed. He was loyal to the queen. He knew how much this moment would mean to her. But he also knew the court would not welcome this news easily. A child born of a human father. This was something the old laws had never allowed. "Prepare a landing team," Orlan ordered. "We go down at first light. We bring the princess and the child home, back on the ground." Scifi packed a small bag. She did not know why. Maybe it was just a mother's worry. Maybe it was something deeper, an old voice inside her that whispered run. She put in warm clothes for Leo, some food, and an old silver locket that had once belonged to her father. She still remembered the day her mother placed it around her neck when she was a child. Back then, she loved her mother without fear. But now, the queen was not just her mother. She was the Empire itself, powerful, cold, and unbending. "Mom?" Leo's sleepy voice broke her thoughts. Scifi turned quickly. Leo stood in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. His hair stuck up in all directions, and his soft blue blanket dragged behind him. "Why are you packing?" Leo asked, tilting his head. Scifi forced a small smile. "Just in case, my love. Come here." Leo walked over and climbed into her lap. He liked to do this. Even though he was growing bigger every day, he rested his head on her shoulder. Scifi closed her eyes and held him close, breathing in the scent of his hair. "Are we going on a trip?" Leo asked. "Maybe," Scifi said softly. "Some people may come to see us today." "Who?" Scifi kissed his forehead. "Important people, from where I was born." Leo looked up at her. His small face was curious but calm. "Are they nice?" Scifi hesitated. "Some are. Some, I don't know yet. But don't worry. I will protect you." Leo nodded and hugged her tighter. "Okay, Mom." Hours later, a low rumble rolled through the quiet forest. Birds took flight. As leaves shook from the trees, Leo peeked out the window and gasped. Between the tall pines, a silver shape landed on the soft grass. Lights blinked along its sides, and steam hissed from its base. "Mom, a spaceship!" Leo shouted. Serafine's heart sank. It was too soon. She stood up, holding Leo's hand. She knew running now was pointless. They were already here. A soft knock came at the door. Seraphine opened it slowly. Outside stood four tall guards in dark blue armor with the Queen's crest shining. On their chests, behind them, Captain Orlan stepped forward. His face was calm, but his eyes showed deep respect. "Princess Seraphine," Orlan said, bowing his head. "I am Captain Orlan of the Royal Fleet. By order of Queen Althara, I am here to bring you home." Seraphine's hand tightened around Leo's. "I see the Queen has not forgotten me after all this time." "Never, Majesty," Orlan said. He looked at Leo, then back at her. "And this must be your son." Leo looked up at the tall captain with wide eyes but did not hide behind. "His mother." He stood straight, brave like his mother. "What will happen to him?" Seraphine asked. Orlan chose his words carefully. "He is your child, Princess, by the Queen's wish. He will come with you. You are both under royal protection." Seraphine studied his face. She heard the words he did not say. Protection could mean many things in the Empire. She nodded slowly. "We will come with you. But Captain Orlan, understand this. If anyone tries to take him from me, I will fight." Orlan bowed again. "Understood, Princess." Seraphine turned to Leo and knelt down. She took his hands in hers. "Leo, we are going to a new place. It is big and full of lights and people. You must stay close to me. Do you trust me?" Leo nodded. "I trust you, Mom." Seraphine hugged him tightly. Then she stood up tall. The lost princess once more. She stepped outside her small wooden home for the last time. The trees whispered in the wind like they were saying goodbye. The landing ship lifted into the sky. Inside, Seraphine sat by the window with Leo on her lap. The green forests and blue rivers of Earth grew smaller and smaller. Ahead waited the stars, and a home she both missed and feared. Leo pressed his nose to the window. "Are we going to see your mom?" Seraphine looked out at the endless dark space ahead. "Yes, my love. We are going to see my mother, the Queen." In the quiet hum of the ship, mother and child sat together, facing a future that would change the Empire forever. The stars stretched like silver dust outside the windows of the royal ship. Inside, soft lights glowed along the walls, and a gentle hum filled the halls. Seraphine sat on a soft bench in her private cabin, watching her son sleep beside her. Leo's small chest rose and fell as he dreamed under a warm blanket. His head rested on her lap. Seraphine ran her fingers through his hair, trying to calm her own storm of thoughts. So much had changed in just a few hours. She had hidden for so many years, believing the Empire would never find her. But the Empire never forgot its own. Now she was no longer free. She was a princess again, and her child would soon stand in the center of a world he did not know. A soft knock came at her door. Seraphine looked up. Captain Orlan stepped in quietly and bowed his head. "Forgive me, Princess," Orlan said in a calm voice. "We will reach Anovar Prime in 6 hours. The Queen wishes to see you as soon as you arrive." Seraphine nodded. "Of course she does." She studied Orlan's face. He was loyal, steady, and respectful. But she saw worry hidden in his eyes. "You fear for us, Srafini said softly. Orlan hesitated. There are whispers in the court. Some welcome your return, but not all. Many will not accept a human child in the royal line. Srafini looked down at Leo's peaceful face. Then they will learn, she said in a firm voice. He is my son. No law, no cold tradition will take him from me. Orlan lowered his head. Again, I will protect you both as best I can. Srafini gave a small, tired smile. Thank you, Captain. Hours passed. Outside, the black space slowly filled with the shining face of Andovar Prime. The royal homeworld floated like a jewel in the dark, silver oceans, endless green fields, and bright cities made of glass and crystal. Huge ships moved in perfect lines, their lights blinking like stars. Inside the ship, Leo woke up when he felt the change in the ship's hum. He rubbed his eyes and sat up. His mother's hand rested on his back. Mom, are we here? Leo asked, blinking at the window. Double quotes. Yes, my love. This is where I was born, Srafini said. Leo pressed his face to the glass. He saw huge towers that seemed to touch the clouds. Strange silver birds flew between them. He saw other ships, some bigger than anything he had ever imagined. It's so big, he whispered. Srafini smiled softly, but her heart beat fast. She had once dreamed of showing him this world on her own terms. Now, she had no choice. The royal ship landed on a wide platform of polished white stone. Bright banners with the Queen's crest waved in the wind. Rows of royal guards stood in perfect lines, their silver armor shining in the sunlight. Srafini held Leo's hand as they stepped out of the ship. The warm air smelled sweet. Filled with flowers from the royal gardens nearby, Leo squeezed her hand tighter. He did not say a word, but his wide eyes showed his wonder and his fear. At the end of the platform stood Queen Althara. She wore a long robe that shimmered like moonlight. Her crown shone with a blue gem that seemed alive. Behind her stood counselors and nobles in rich clothes, their faces polite but cold. Srafini stopped a few steps away from her mother. For a moment, mother and daughter simply looked at each other. Queen Althara's eyes were sharp, but there was something soft hidden deep inside them, a love that never died. My daughter, Althara said, her voice steady and clear. At last, you have come home. Srafini bowed her head slightly. Mother, Althara's eyes moved to Leo. She studied him from head to toe. The boy met her gaze bravely. He did not hide behind his mother. He did not bow. He simply stood there, small but strong. And this is your child, Althara said. Yes. Srafini said firmly, his name is Leo. He is my son and your grandson. A ripple moved through the nobles behind the queen. Some frowned. Some whispered to each other. The queen raised her hand, and all fell silent. Althara stepped forward slowly. She looked at Leo for a long moment, then knelt down to his level. Her crown glowed in the sunlight. How old are you, Leo? Althara asked in a calm voice. Leo looked at his mother, then back at the queen. I'm 12. The queen's eyes softened just a little. Do you know who I am? Leo nodded. You're my grandma. Mom told me. A small, surprised smile touched Althara's lips. She reached out and brushed a curl from Leo's forehead. You are brave to stand here before me. Leo shrugged. Mom says I should always stand tall. Althara looked up at Srafini. The two women shared a moment of silent understanding. Then Althara stood and faced her daughter fully. You have returned with hope and danger. Althara said quietly so only Srafini could hear. Some here will see him as a threat. He is my son, Srafini said again, her voice stronger than before. He will not be hidden or shamed. He is part of this family. Althara looked around at the watching court. She raised her voice so all could hear. My daughter has returned, and with her, my grandson. They will both stand under my protection. The guards slammed their spears on the ground in one loud sound of respect. Inside the palace, Leo stared in wonder as they walked through halls of glass and marble. Walls glowed with soft lights. Strange paintings moved and changed when he passed by. Servants in silver robes bowed deeply as they stepped aside. Scifi held Leo's hand tightly. She saw the way some nobles looked at them, polite smiles on their lips, cold anger in their eyes. She knew the rumors had already begun. Inside her old bedroom, Scifi sat with Leo on a soft bed covered in blue silk. She brushed his hair, away from his eyes. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. Leo nodded, but his eyes were wide. "Is Grandma mad at me?" "No, my love, she's not mad. She's just careful. This is all new for her too." Leo looked down. "Will they send me away?" Scifi pulled him close. "No, never. I promise you, Leo, I will not let them take you away." Outside the room, shadows moved in the long halls. Some nobles planned secret meetings. Some whispered about old laws and royal blood. They spoke of threats, change, and fear. But in that quiet room, Scifi and Leo sat together, mother and son, stronger than any law, ready to face whatever storms would come next. The palace of Annovar Prime was like a living dream. Its high glass towers touched the clouds. Its halls shone with soft lights that danced like stars. Everywhere Leo looked, he saw beauty and magic, but even a child could feel the hidden things. Under that beauty, whispers in dark corners, secrets behind polite smiles. For 3 days, Scifi and Leo stayed inside the royal wing. Servants brought them sweet fruits and warm drinks. Guards stood at their doors, silent and watchful. Every morning, Scifi took Leo by the hand and showed him the grand gardens, the royal library, and the music halls. She tried to keep his heart light, but every night, when Leo fell asleep, Scifi sat by the window, looking at the city lights far below. She knew that soon the queen would call her again, and this time, the questions would be harder. One afternoon, Queen Althara sent for Scifi alone. Two royal guards led her through long marble halls into the private throne chamber. It was smaller than the grand hall where the court gathered, quieter, warmer, and older. Althara sat on a simple silver throne. The crown on her head was lighter, the jewels smaller. Here, she was not just the queen, she was a mother. Scifi walked forward and bowed her head. "Mother, sit." Scifi, Althara said. Her voice was softer than before. Scifi sat across from her mother. The silence between them felt heavy, but not cold. "I have missed you," Althara said at last. "Every day since you left." "I know," Scifi said. "I miss you too. But I could not come back." Althara looked at her daughters. Tired eyes, the lines that worry had drawn round them. "Tell me of him. The man who gave you your son." Scifi took a slow breath. "His name was Thomas Hale. He was kind, strong, and gentle. He was not afraid when he learned who I was. He loved me as I was, not as a princess, but as Scifi." Althara listened closely. "And you loved him?" "Yes," Scifi said, her voice firm. "I loved him until his last breath, and I will love him until mine." For a moment, the old queen's eyes softened. She saw the truth in her daughter's face. "Your child, he is healthy, strong. He is clever, brave, and good," Scifi said proudly. "He does not fear new things. He asks questions. He wants to learn everything. He is human, but he is also more." Althara's fingers tapped the arm of her throne. "You know what the council will say. They fear a break in the royal bloodline." Scifi lifted her chin. "Then they must learn to accept it. Leo is royal because I am royal. His father's blood does not change that." A small, cold smile touched the queen's lips. "I'm glad you still speak with your father's fire." They sat together for a while longer, mother and daughter in quiet thought. Finally, Althara said, "There will be a gathering tomorrow. The nobles wish to see the boy. They will ask questions. They will test him." Scifi's eyes flashed. "He is a child. He is not their toy." Althara's voice was calm but unbending. "If you want him to be accepted, they must see him for who he is. Strong, fearless, a true heir." Scifi stood. "Very well. But if they insult him, I will not stay silent." Althara almost smiled. "Then let them see that too." That night, Scifi sat on Leo's bed. He was playing with a small metal bird the servants had given him. Its wings flapped when he wound it up, and its tiny eyes glowed blue. "Mom, is Grandma nice?" Leo asked. Serafini brushed his hair back. "She is strong, Leo. She does what she thinks is right for everyone. Sometimes it does not feel kind, but it is her way." Leo looked at her. "Am I in trouble?" Serafini pulled him close. "No. My heart, tomorrow, the nobles will ask you questions. They'll want to see who you are." "Do I have to be brave?" Leo asked softly. Serafini kissed his forehead. "You already are." The next day, the grand hall shone brighter than ever. Tall windows let the sunlight pour in. Banners of silver and blue hung from the high ceiling. Nobles filled the marble floor, whispering to each other behind jeweled fans and golden collars dot in the center. A round platform waited. Queen Althara sat on her throne, her eyes sharp as a hawk's. Serafini stood beside her, holding Leo's small hand. Leo looked at the sea of faces. So many eyes stared at him. He felt small, but he remembered his mother's words, "Stand tall." A man in deep red robes stepped forward. He was Lord Vroon, the High Speaker of the Council. "Prince Leo," he said in a smooth voice, "do you know why you stand here?" Leo looked up at him. "You want to see if I'm good enough." A ripple of surprised whispers moved through the nobles. Serafini hid a smile. Lord Vroon tried to smile. "And do you think you are good enough?" Leo frowned. "I don't know. My mom says I'm good. My dad said so too." Lord Vroon tilted his head. "Your father was human. Do you know what that means?" Leo looked at his mother. She nodded at him. He looked back at the man. "It means I'm both. Human like my dad, royal like my mom." Some nobles shifted uncomfortably. Others watched with curious eyes. Lord Vroon stepped closer. "Would you like to be a prince, Leo?" Leo thought for a moment. "I just want to be with my mom." A soft sound moved through the hall. Some nobles laughed gently. Others looked uneasy. Serafini squeezed Leo's shoulder proudly. Queen Althara's voice cut through the hall. "This child is more than his blood. He is my daughter's son. He is royal by birth, human by chance. He stands here because he has the heart of both worlds." Lord Vroon bowed his head. "So it shall be seen." After the gathering, Serafini and Leo walked through the royal gardens. Flowers the size of dinner plates bloomed under the soft sun. Strange birds sang sweet songs from hidden branches. Leo picked a blue flower and gave it to his mother. "Did I do good?" Serafini knelt and hugged him tight. "You did perfect." Behind them, hidden among the marble statues, shadows moved. Not everyone was ready to welcome the boy. Plans were already growing in secret. Plans to stop the queen's will. Plans to test Serafini's strength. But for now, under the bright flowers and warm sun, a mother and her son stood side by side, ready for whatever the royal court would bring next. The sun rose over Enovar Prime, painting the palace towers in soft gold and pink. Birds flew between the glass spires, singing songs that echoed through the royal gardens. Inside the palace, the air was peaceful, but under that peace, secrets grew like weeds in the dark dot in a hidden room deep inside the eastern wing. A small group of nobles gathered around a long marble table. Heavy curtains covered the windows, and the only light came from a single silver lamp in the center. Lord Vroon stood at the head of the table, his hands folded behind his back. His eyes moved from one face to another. Each noble there wore rich robes and carried old family rings, signs of power passed down through generations. "He is only a boy," said Lady Morella, her sharp eyes cold. "Yet the queen speaks of him as heir, a half-human heir. It is madness." Another noble, Lord Craven, nodded. "If he stays, he will weaken the royal bloodline. What if others follow? What if more humans find a place here?" Lord Vroon raised his hand. "Careful. We speak not of hate, but of order. The empire has survived for centuries because we keep our line pure and strong." Serafini broke that line. "The queen forgives her, but the people will not." "What do you suggest?" asked Lady Morella. Vroon's eyes narrowed. "We do not harm the boy. That would turn the people against us. Instead, we show the queen that the boy is not fit. He must fail in the eyes of the people. Then Serafini will have no choice but to send him away. And if she refuses? Asked Lord Craven. Then we make her choose, Vroon said coldly, her son or her crown. While the nobles whispered in the shadows, Serafini and Leo were in the royal training halls. Huge windows let in soft light. Tall statues of old heroes lined the walls. This was where princes and princesses had trained for generations. A young captain named Arender stood before Leo, holding to thin wooden sticks. We will begin with balance, Arender said kindly. He handed one stick to Leo. Hold it like this. Leo copied him. He looked small next to the tall captain, but his eyes were focused. Serafini watched from the side, proud but worried. Arender showed Leo how to stand with his feet apart, strong. Base, strong mind. You are light. Use that to move faster. Leo nodded. He stepped forward and tapped Arender's stick with his own. The sound echoed in the high hall. Good, Arender said. Again, they moved in slow circles. Leo's brow furrowed as he tried to follow every step. When he made a mistake, he bit his lip but did not give up. Serafini felt hope rise in her heart. She knew the nobles would watch her son's every move. If he fell, they would use it against him. But if he stood strong, they would see what she saw, a boy brave enough to carry to worlds. Later that evening, Queen Althar called a small family supper in her private garden. Soft lamps floated above the table, glowing like gentle stars. Flowers of red and silver bloomed round them. The queen, Serafini, and Leo sat together under the open sky. A royal servant brought warm bread and sweet fruit. Leo tried a bright purple fruit, and his eyes widened when the juice burst in his mouth. Althar watched him with quiet interest. Do you like it, Leo? Leo nodded, his mouth full. Serafini laughed softly. For a moment, they looked like any family. No throne, no crown, no danger waiting outside the garden. Althar's face turned serious. Tomorrow there will be a festival in the capital square. I want you both there. Serafini frowned. A festival? So soon? Althar nodded. The people need to see him. They must know him not just as your son, but as mine too. Serafini looked at Leo, who licked fruit juice from his fingers. He's just a boy, mother. Exactly, Althar said. Let them see a boy, a brave, kind boy. The nobles plot behind walls, but the people's hearts live in the open sun. Serafini sighed. Very well, we will go. Leo looked between them. Will there be music? Althar's lips curved into a rare smile. Yes, child, and lights, and dancers. You will see things that will make your eyes wide. Leo grinned. Then I want to go. When the supper was done, Leo fell asleep on a soft chair under the stars. Servants carried him gently back to his room. Serafini stayed behind with her mother. Althar looked at her daughter, her eyes tired but sharp. You know they plot against him? I know, Serafini said. You know they will test you both. I know. Althar placed her hand on Serafini's. Do not show fear. Do not show weakness. I have not been afraid since the day I gave birth to him in a strange land, alone, Serafini said. They have no idea how strong we are. For a moment, mother and daughter sat together in silence. The night air smelled of soft flowers and old stone. Above them, the stars watched out far below the palace, deep under the city streets. A small figure moved through dark tunnels. He wore a hood and carried a thin metal rod that glowed with tiny lights. He came to a stop at a hidden door. He tapped the rod against the lock. The door opened with a soft click. Inside was a secret storehouse, old weapons, old maps, old plans. The figure lifted his hood. It was a boy, no older than 16. One of the street runners who sold secrets for coins. Lord Vroom waited for him inside, standing beside a dusty map of the palace. Did you find it? Vroom asked. The boy handed him a tiny chip. Every corner of the festival square, every guard path. No one saw me. Vroom smiled coldly. He slipped the chip into his pocket and gave the boy a bag of shining coins. Good work. You never. So, me. You never came here. The boy nodded and ran off into the tunnels. Vroom looked at the old map. tracing his finger over the streets and squares. The people love a hero, he whispered to himself. But they also love a tragedy. Above, in the royal wing, Leo dreamed of lights and music and dancers. Scifi sat by his bed, her hand resting on his hair. She felt something in her heart, an old fear she had pushed away for years. Tomorrow, the whole world would see her son, and tomorrow, some would try to break him, but she would be ready. The day of the festival came with bright blue skies and a warm breeze. The capital square was alive with colors and sounds. Stalls lined the wide streets, selling sweet cakes, bright flowers, and tiny toys that glowed and danced in the sunlight. Musicians played soft songs that mixed with the laughter of children running between the crowds. At the heart of the square, a large stage stood ready. Banners of silver and blue hung from tall poles. On every wall and pillar, the royal crest of Andovar Prime shone proudly. It was a day for the people to see their queen and their future. Behind the stage, in a small tent covered in silk, Scifi knelt in front of Leo. She straightened his little coat, brushed a strand of hair from his forehead, and made him look into her eyes. "Remember what I told you?" she asked. Leo nodded. "Stand tall, be brave, and smile." Scifi laughed softly. "Yes, my heart. That's all you must do." Outside the tent, Captain Arender waited with a small team of royal guards. He looked at Scifi with calm eyes. "All is ready, Princess." "Thank you, Captain," Scifi said. She held Leo's hand tightly as they stepped outside. The people filled every space in the square. When the queen stepped onto the stage, a great cheer rose up. Althar lifted her hand, and the crowd fell quiet. She looked powerful in her royal robes, her silver crown shining in the sun. "People of Andovar Prime," she called, her voice strong and clear. "Today we celebrate unity. Today we celebrate hope." She turned slightly and stretched out her hand. Scifi stepped forward, bringing Leo with her. Althar placed her other hand on Leo's shoulder. Her sharp eyes softened as she looked at the boy. "This is Leo Hale," the queen said, her voice echoing through the square. "My grandson, the son of my lost daughter. He is part of this world, and he is part of another. He carries the courage of humans and the spirit of Andovar." A soft murmur spread through the crowd. Some people smiled and clapped. Others watched in silence, unsure of what to think. Behind the stage, hidden among the crowds, shadows moved. Lord Vroon stood near an old stone wall, dressed like a common noble. By his side were two men in dark coats, his loyal followers. They spoke in whispers. "When the music starts," Vroon said, "create the scare. Make the people panic. Let them see the boy's weakness." The men nodded and slipped away into the crowds, hiding small devices in their sleeves. They would cause a loud blast, not to hurt, only to frighten. Fear was enough to make people doubt. On the stage, a group of dancers in silver masks stepped forward. They spun and twirled with long ribbons, their feet light on the wooden floor. The music grew louder, drums, flutes, and soft bells. Leo watched the dancers with wide eyes. He smiled at his mother. Scifi squeezed his hand. Then, just as the music reached its highest note, a sharp crack split the air. A burst of smoke rose near the edge of the square. People screamed and stumbled. Back, another loud blast echoed from the other side. Panic spread like fire. The crowd pushed and shouted. Parents grabbed their children. Stalls fell over, spilling bright fruits and cakes on the stone street. On the stage, the royal guards formed a circle round the queen, Scifi, and Leo. Captain Arender drew his blade, eyes sharp for danger. Scifi knelt and held Leo close. "Stay with me," she whispered. But Leo did not hide behind her. He turned and saw people running. He saw a small girl fall near the edge of the square, crying as people rushed past her. Without thinking, Leo pulled away from his mother's grip. Scifi shouted his name, but he was already moving. Leo ran across the stage and jumped down to the stone street. He pushed through the frightened people, ignoring the guards who called for him to stop. He reached the crying girl and knelt beside her, "Are you okay?" Leo asked. The girl, no older than 5, looked at him with big tearful eyes. Her leg was scraped and bleeding. "Can you stand?" Leo asked gently. The girl shook her head. Leo bit his lip, then lifted her into his small arms. He struggled under her weight but did not stop. Slowly, step by step, he carried her back through the crowd. People saw him, a tiny boy, the queen's grandson, half human and half royal, carrying a stranger's child while the world around him panicked. A hush fell over the square. The people stopped running. They watched him. The fear in the air changed, softened, as the sight of the boy reminded them what courage looked like. Scifi ran forward and helped him lift the girl onto the stage. The girl's mother came running, weeping with relief. Leo stood beside his mother, his chest heaving. His hands and clothes were dirty. His eyes were wide but brave. Queen Althar stepped forward. She placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. "Look at him," she called to the people. "This is the child you fear. This is the weakness you doubt. He is braver than any soldier, kinder than any noble. He is my blood, and he is yours." A great cheer rose up. People raised their hands and voices. They called Leo's name again and again. The fear was gone, replaced by hope. In the shadows, Lord Vroon watched with cold rage. His plan had failed. Instead of fear, the people now loved the boy more. He slipped away before the royal guards could find him. He knew he would have to wait for another chance, but for now, the people's hearts belonged to the child. That night, the palace shone with bright lights. Musicians played soft songs in the royal halls. Servants carried sweet cakes and warm drinks. Leo sat beside his mother and grandmother, sleepy but happy. Queen Althar lifted a small silver crown and placed it gently on Leo's head. "You stood tall today," she said. "You showed them all who you are." Leo looked up at her with big eyes. "Can I still be just Leo?" Althar smiled, truly smiled, not as a queen, but as a grandmother. "You will always be Leo, but you will also be our light." Scifi pulled him close and kissed his hair. "My brave boy," outside the grand palace. The people of Andovar lit lanterns and sent them into the night sky. Thousands of tiny lights rose above the towers and gardens, drifting like stars into the dark. And among them, hope rose too. Hope for a new future, carried by a little prince who was brave enough to stand between two worlds and hold them together.